In-game advertising has been a part of the video game industry for a while. In the past, games have teased other titles by the same developers. Some titles like Saints Row 2 featured real-life brands on virtual billboards, and the horror game Alan Wake infamously had a TV that played a Verizon Wireless commercial, because truly, nothing is as terrifying as signing up for a new phone plan. These types of in-game ads were and are generally irritating. In fact, these ads can break your immersion with a game. See, video games are very effective at drawing players in and getting us emotionally and personally invested in a virtual world, but advertisements can diminish that connection. After all, no one wants to play a game and get sucked into its world only to have a real-world advertisement intrude on their play session. It is not an optimal gaming experience. This might become a pervasive problem. In fact, in-game ads have become more popular, lucrative, and a potential revenue stream in gaming's modern era of always online games and live services, and many companies want in on this action, and that reportedly includes both Microsoft and Sony. In April, both companies announced that they were embracing in-game ads. In terms of Microsoft, the company behind the Xbox is rolling out in-game ads for free-to-play titles starting in the third quarter of this year, likely in order to entice developers into bringing more free-to-play games to the Xbox system. Furthermore, Microsoft did not state how it would implement these ads, but did say they wouldn't take any revenue from them. And in terms of Sony, the PlayStation company hopes to roll out in-game ads in free-to-play titles by the end of the year, placing these ads in non-intrusive places like virtual billboards, and they plan to give players rewards for watching whole and complete commercials, though Sony did not say whether or not they would take a cut of the revenue here. This is annoying, but not surprising. As Microsoft tries to woo more games onto its platform and Sony plans to majorly increase its footprint into the live service market, gamers could see these in-game ads coming from miles away, just like Jeff Bezos's phallus-looking rocket. After all, publishers are looking to make every conceivable dollar they possibly can, oftentimes to the detriment of the products they make. Whether it be from microtransactions, battle passes, NFTs, the metaverse, or whatever, publishers seek out any potential type of revenue they can get their grubby mitts on, even if that revenue devalues its own products. And in-game ads are yet another way for companies to get yet another revenue stream, even despite how in-game ads can break immersion. And while Microsoft and Sony are only launching in-game ads for free-to-play titles, for now, I have to wonder how long it will be before more companies try and push these ads into games that people actually spend money on. Because let's be honest, the video game industry isn't one to let any potential path of revenue be neglected. Over the years, we have seen many publishers slowly but surely become more and more brazen with how they incorporate their skeevy business practices into their games. Games have become grindier in order to sell microtransactions or loot boxes, which are essentially in-game gambling mechanics. Many games launch missing core features, promising that they will eventually be patched in. Many publishers are embracing the NFT grift despite how it's a con job. Battle passes sell a rewarding experience that should be part of the game itself, and games often have content carved out of them that are later sold off as DLC. And all of these things are just unacceptable business practices that make gaming as an artistic medium worse off. Yet we, the player, have become so accustomed to the game industry's avaricious appetite that these abhorrent business models are normalized. They are run-of-the-mill now, like an Overton window of video game industry bullshit. And with that, I feel it's only a matter of time before in-game ads become ubiquitous with all games. See, with the advent of live services and online multiplayer free-to-play games, more and more titles require an internet connection for you to play them. Hell, even games that are mostly single-player often require an online connection for you to get the most experience out of them. And this online connectivity is a boon for in-game ads. After all, ads can be constantly updated into the player's game experience because the player is constantly connected to the internet, and that's not something the game industry as a whole will ignore forever. I fully expect them to try and place these ads in games you spend money on. Hell, EA already tried to place ads during replay breaks in UFC 4 back in 2020, which was incredibly sleazy and rightfully garnered an immense backlash until these ads were pulled. Gamers as a whole said no. But here's the thing, the in-game ads Sony and Microsoft are supporting are much more subtle and will garner minimal backlash compared to something like EA's UFC incident, which was too egregious compared to modern standards. The planned in-game ads for free-to-play games on Sony's and Microsoft's platforms are a lot more subtle and sly, meaning that if Microsoft and Sony were to allow in-game ads to appear in full-price $60 or $70 games, that wouldn't be as big of a leap from where we are now. Because once again, video Video game industry business practices are essentially an Overton window of bullshit. It's an industry that slowly but surely normalizes despicable business practices before pushing the envelope even further. It routinely makes games less enjoyable in order to chase the next big get-rich trend. Admittedly, Sony and Microsoft do have an incentive to avoid potentially adding in-game ads to full-price games on paper. After all, the two are platform holders, meaning that it is in their vested interest to ensure the quality of the games on their systems. But with that being said, ads in full-price games aren't too big of a leap for these companies, especially for Microsoft, a company that dabbles in unethical business practices like microtransactions and such much more often than Sony and Nintendo. And with that, it isn't a leap to say that the industry might be heading toward an ad-filled direction, potentially for all of its games. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to in-game ads on Microsoft's and Sony's platforms. It's just another way for video game companies to make more money at the player's expense, and leads to a slippery slope of adding these quote-unquote features to full-price games. I am not a fan. And with that, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like rating, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and leave a comment telling me what you think of in-game ads. Also, please consider checking out my Patreon page. $1 a month gives you access to my Discord server, and $5 a month allows you to start making review requests. The link to my Patreon is in the description. And speaking of Patreon, I just want to thank my patrons, particularly my high-tier ones in David, Samantha, Devlin, Mom, and Morgan. Thank you so much for supporting what I do. Love y'all.